If your child turns 6 before the 1st of May, then it will go to school after the summer holidays. Perhaps you ask yourself whether your child is really ready.
Weißt du, die Sachen, paar Sachen habe ich schon lange
Previously, we used to see whether the child could tie its own shoelaces, or whether by stretching the left arm over its head, it could reach the right ear. Today, a child's readiness for school is defined differently from in the past. Nowadays, 4 factors are taken into consideration: physical development, size of the child, its coordination and general state of health.
Feinmotorik, Grobmotorik sind Themen. Der Gesundheitszustand allgemein vom Kind wird geschaut, wenn es so bei der Schulbereitschaftsabklärung darum geht, noch ein bisschen genauer herzuschauen. Was eigentlich wichtiger ist so...
More important are its interests. Is it already interested in numbers and letters? These are basic criteria. Language is also important. Can it say what it wants? Can it express itself? At the same time, can it be silent and listen? Actually, listening is the most important to other children and to the teacher.
Und auch zulassen den anderen Kind, der Lehrerin. Und damit kommen wir zum emotionalen Bereich.
Then we've already reached the emotional zone. A child who is ready for school has reached a certain level of independence. It can also wait a moment when it's not the first in line.
Nicht alle Kinder können immer zuerst dran kommen. Das gehört auch dazu, manchmal ein bisschen zurückstehen, warten und gleichzeitig aber
at the same time, however, it should be able to say what it wants.
Äußern in einem angemessenen Rahmen. Der Sozialbereich ist natürlich ein wichtiger Faktor. Wie geht das Kind?
It is also important how a child behaves within a group. Can it stand up for itself? Can it fit in? Or can it only relate to adults?
Oder kann es eben mit anderen Kindern auch umgehen? Und so als tragendes Element von diesen 4 Bereichen ist...
From the 4 areas, attentiveness and the ability to concentrate are the most important.
Konzentration, so eine Grössenordnung 5 bis 10 Minuten an etwas dranbleiben.
The child should be able to concentrate on something specific for 5 to 10 minutes. For example, to listen when someone reads from a book. That is also something I find very important. Looking at books together, reading and telling stories.
Hören, erzählen und wieder erzählen. Kinder haben das sehr, sehr gern. Es ist wirklich so, wenn die Kindergartenlehrperson den Eindruck hat...
If the kindergarten teacher has the impression that the child is lacking in one of these 4 areas, then you should come and speak to her about it. She may find it useful to arrange for a check with the educational advisor or the school medical service. This way, you will get a clear picture and find out where your child perhaps needs some special help.
Stadt Bern beim Schularztamt zu machen, dass es so Klarheit gibt und man auch weiss, wo allenfalls noch fördern, wo ist noch Bedarf.
The most important thing is that your child is motivated and enjoys going to school.
Überforderung ist nicht gut.
Not being demanding enough is not good, nor is asking for too much. If from the start a child is permanently trying to catch up, then motivation suffers. And motivation is the essential requirement for being able to learn easily. Naturally, the first day of school begins with the journey to school. During the past 2 years of kindergarten, your child should have learned how to behave on the road. If you haven't practiced the route together, then it is now high time. If the journey to school is different from the route to kindergarten, then of course it will need some practice. After a few days, your child will be capable of going to school alone. The route to school without mummy or daddy is no problem for the child. It is actually important that it can make the journey without your accompaniment. On the way to school, children can practice being independent and self-confident. The journey to school is the responsibility of the parents. It is not the job of the school or the city to make sure the children reach school safely and punctually. It doesn't need much to ensure that your child is safe along the way. Pay attention to light-coloured clothes. The child must be clearly visible to all other road users. Make sure your child sets off in time so that it doesn't have to run. Anyone afraid of arriving late takes less notice of the traffic. Above all, you must set an example. We are always seeing parents making mistakes with their children. For example, running diagonally across the street in front of the school building because they are late. In class, teachers don't just do whatever comes into their heads. It is stipulated by when something must be completed. This is all written in the school curriculum. These goals are compulsory for the teacher and cannot be chosen by her alone. It is also defined in the curriculum how the teacher gives the lessons. So it is as simple as possible for the children to learn. Not only for the quickest in the class, also for those who take a little longer to progress. It is the teacher's task to ensure that each child can learn equally well. Not necessarily the same amount, but to the same degree. The curriculum is a type of work mandate for the teacher. So that she can fulfill this task, she has completed a training and gathered experience. She is a specialist when it comes to learning how to learn.
So ein Stück Emmentaler-Käse essen.
Ich hätte
Ja, oder mir die essen. Ihr habt unten alle Zahlen.
Like a craftsman, the teacher also uses different tools.
In die richtige Richtung macht. 6 und die Rechnung heißt Kraft der 5. Ich denke immer zuerst daran, dass ich die 5 schreibe. 5.
She uses teaching materials, the maths book and worksheets, for instance. And she knows various ways of explaining and practicing things.
Und ein Blatt kommt noch dazu. 5 plus 1 gibt 6.
Each of these teaching materials has its own method by which the content can be explained. In particular, the maths book is hard for grown-ups to understand exactly what it's about.
Ja, da geht es einfach das selbstentdeckende Lehren.
Here we are talking about learning through self-discovery. That's when you sometimes ask yourself why every child should discover for itself how to calculate. The teacher knows exactly what it's all about. But experience shows that what children actually discover for themselves is retained much better than things that are merely explained to them.
Das viel besser integrieren und eigentlich den Lernschritt so besser machen kann, wenn man ihm es einfach sagt und es ja, vielleicht kommt es raus, vielleicht kommt es nicht raus.
With the maths book, it really is the case that certain things have to be explained. At the bottom of the page, however, there is a small explanation, so at least you know what it is about.
Also, dass man wenigstens weiss, was es geht.
Teaching materials are geared much more for children than in earlier times. 20 or 30 years ago, most of them were just full of exercises. Teaching materials today are much more about guiding to understand. They try to make everything as simple as possible for the children to understand new things, really to understand, and not just learn by rote. The teacher decides herself how the lessons are given. This is what she is trained for. Exactly as a craftsman decides for himself which tool he should be using. But that doesn't have to remain her secret. Ask her how she teaches. She will be happy to explain. Still today, the best thing about school is the morning break. Now it's the moment for a nourishing, healthy snack and lots of exercise. That it gets a bit rough from time to time is also quite normal. As parents, you shouldn't worry too much about this. But if a child is frightened of its classmates, then something must be done at once.
Also, wenn jetzt das Kind heimkommt und Angst hat, zum
If a child comes home and is afraid of break time because it is being hit by other children, then the first question is, have you told the teacher?
Die erste Frage, hast du das deiner Lehrerin schon mal gesagt? Es ist so geregelt.
There is a rule that one teacher is always on duty in the playground. But if it is not the child's class teacher, then it is probably easier for the child to talk to its own teacher.
Wenn das nicht gerade die Lehrkraft ist vom Kind, was es betrifft, dann macht es manchmal eben mehr Sinn, wenn es das nachher der Lehrerin sagt. Und also da kann ich jetzt
I can guarantee that we will listen to the child and also follow it up.
Ja, also das wäre einfach wirklich besorgniserregend, wenn ein Kind...
It is always a matter of concern when a child is afraid. That is when something has to be done.
It
is also important that the children learn how to solve smaller conflicts themselves. This is a theme also in the classroom. We have the so-called stop rule. If a child says, stop, that's enough, then the other children must respect it. That is a basic prerequisite for getting along together.
Das sind so Grundvoraussetzungen, die es braucht, für miteinander gut umzugehen.
As parents, you must get used to the fact that now there is a part of the child's life you can't be directly involved in. Early in the morning it goes to school and comes back home again at midday. Then comes the big question of the day. Do you have homework? Whether there is homework or not, each school can decide for itself. In Bern, it is usual that most schools give homework even in the lower classes. Why homework should be given is defined in the curriculum. The ability to work independently can be developed in this way. Homework is not there to complete everything that was not finished at school. In principle, homework should be solved by the child independently. That means without help from parents. The type of homework should be designed so the child knows what to do.
Die Aufgabenstellung soll so sein, dass das Kind daraus kommt, wenn es hersitzt und die Aufgaben macht.
The time taken for homework is also limited. In the first and second grades, it is not allowed to take up more than 1 hour and a half per week. Less is no problem, but it should never become more.
Wenn ein Kind jetzt jeden Tag 2 Stunden Aufgaben macht.
If a child has 2 hours of homework every day, then something is wrong. That is when you need to contact the teachers. But even an hour and a half can be quite a stress for parents. Not only when the child doesn't feel like doing his homework, also when, despite everything, the child doesn't remember how to do it, or what the homework was exactly.
Ich weiss das aus eigener Erfahrung.
I know that from experience. It can cause a lot of stress. There are children who readily accept your help with their homework.
Dass die Mami oder der Papi sagen, ja, mach's so. Manchmal ist es schwierig, weil die Lehrerin hat gesagt, nein, wir machen es.
Sometimes it gets difficult when the teacher has explained something differently. Then a conflict is unavoidable.
Das kommt jetzt wirklich darauf an, wie das daheim läuft. Wenn das für das Kind gut ist und die Eltern dort mit
If parents can help with very little effort, then they should do so.
Okay. Aber wenn es zu einem Drama wird, dann wirklich nicht so.
But if the homework turns into a drama, then it's better to stop and add a note to the teacher, explaining that it didn't work because the child didn't know what to do.
Oder ein Telefon an die Lehrkraft. Ja, dass es nicht ist gelungen und
Best of all is when you can approach the homework together with your child, so that it feels it can do it alone. Don't see homework as an annoying imposition, but as time that you can spend intensively together with your child.
Jetzt gerade zum Beispiel beim Lesen, ja, ist es ganz gut, wenn dort die Eltern
These are opportunities to practice. When reading, for example, it is good if the parents are able to listen. Reading is mostly a matter of practice, and there is simply not enough time for this at school.
Zeit, also das Zeitgefäß zu klein, für das man das alles in der Schule machen kann. Und die Aufgabe ist auch so eine Gelegenheit für die Eltern eigentlich zu wissen, an was arbeiten die eigentlich in der Schule.
Homework also offers parents the opportunity to see what the child is doing at school.
Man hat ein gemeinsames Gespräch.
That way you also have a mutual theme to discuss together. Parents can also talk about their own experiences and what they had to do.
Man kann austauschen. Also es soll eigentlich eben
It should not be a load, but simply a training
nicht eine Belastung
exercise.
sein, sondern wirklich ein Übungsfeld.
After homework, there should still be enough time left to do interesting things.
Wir sind klar der Meinung, dass ein Kind, ein Unterstufenkind einfach
We are convinced that a child in the junior grades needs playtime, time to play with other children or to play alone. From our point of view, that is very, very important.
Die Bewegung, die es draussen spielt, ist einfach etwas, was ganz, ganz wichtig ist aus unserer Sicht. Unsere Kinder heute haben wie häufig
Children today often have too little opportunity to exercise freely, to be able to scramble up high somewhere without having someone say, "Careful, you'll fall down." But it is necessary that these skills are acquired.
dass sie sich die Fertigkeiten aneignen.
It's interesting that children seldom attempt to do something where they could have a serious accident. They can judge pretty well, but they do need the chance to try things out.
Das auch können zu machen.
The city of Bern offers an incredible range of possibilities. There are so many activities that you sometimes just don't know which to try first. But planning free time also has its limits. How much your child should do must be considered carefully. General rules do not apply here.
Oder es ist jedes Kind ist wieder ganz speziell. Das eine mag gut noch.
Each child is quite special. While 1 or 2 activities per week are perfect for one child, just one may be too much for another. That's when you have to decide from child to child. There are children for whom football training is excellent, or ballet, or English. There are children who thrive on it.
Sei das jetzt Ballett oder sei das jetzt Englisch. Es gibt wirklich Kinder, die das verleiden mögen. Aber was mir ganz wichtig dünkt, ist, dass jedes Kind einfach...
But it's always important that every child has some really spare time. Those are the moments when it can do just what it feels like. Many activities are at first very appealing, but with time they can also become a load.
Zwar so beim ersten Mal lustig ist, aber wenn es dann nachher immer wieder kommt, einfach Belastung wird. Was auch nicht ausser Acht zu lassen ist bei den Fremdsprachen.
Not to be underestimated are the courses for foreign language children in their local language and culture. That's when you should consider really carefully whether, besides these courses, there is room for others.
Noch für weitere Sachen Platz hat.
You will have to discover for yourself the right dosage for your child. There are many activities on offer. A large selection can be found on the website sportamt-bern.ch or stibang.ch. In the city of Bern, parents can benefit from the unusually generous facilities available. One of the most important services incorporates day schools or Tagesschule, which can be used by all families. Day schools are ideal for parents who are working. If the parents work in the afternoons, their children are well looked after here. They come straight from school. First of all, there is a good meal at lunchtime. At day school, particular attention is paid to the children's diet. Menus, freshly prepared every day, are the basis for a healthy diet. Together with school friends, it's fun to serve yourself from the buffet. Then, of course, there's the washing up to be done. Before classes begin in the afternoon, there is still some time. This is just the right moment to do homework. Even then, the children are not left on their own. During the entire time at day school, the children are supervised. During the entire time at day school, the children are supervised. If there is no school in the afternoon, the children can still stay at day school. Here there are lots of possibilities to play, to make things, or just do nothing. Day schools in Bern are available for all families. How much you pay depends on how much you earn. During the school holidays, the city has other ways of guaranteeing the children are looked after. For example, Holiday Island, called Ferieninsel.
Es ist ein richtiger Fantasiesatz, das ist ganz schön. Könnt ihr euch das vorstellen? Wie die im Tanzen fliegen, die Elefanten.
The teacher wants the best for each child in the class. To achieve this, also with your child, she needs your help.
Feder im Feuer.
You and the teacher know your child best, in completely varying situations. You at home, where it feels comfortable. The teacher, amidst other children, where it behaves quite differently. The parents and teacher must work together. Only then can they come to the right decisions. Only when both parties share their observations can they have a complete picture.
Das findest du auch kompliziert? Nein. Nada. Gwendolyn. Joanna.
That you attend parent evenings is a matter of course. But one conversation per year is simply not enough. You should take the first step. Start a discussion with the teacher. Report on the small and big successes, or the child's problems. From early on, even when nothing in particular has happened.
Also ich finde es ganz besonders wichtig, dass man auch dann...
I find it especially important that you speak to each other when you are satisfied. For instance, when you have really liked something.
Schön gefunden, was ist durchgeführt worden in der Schule. Also es ist auch wichtig, dass man nicht nur, wenn es Probleme gibt, das Gespräch sucht, sondern eben eigentlich vorher, oder? Dass man auch weiss, mit wem hat man es eigentlich zu tun.
Make a visit to the school and you will get to know your son or daughter from an entirely different point of view. At the same time, you also experience the teacher in action.
Wenn ich weitermessen will, beginne ich wieder bei mir.
Man darf aber auch als Eltern...
Parents are very welcome at the school. Simply arrange it with the teacher in advance so that you come at a suitable time. During the school year, there are many opportunities to make contact with the teacher.
Also in vielen Klassen gibt es so sogenanntes...
In many grades, there is a contact book. Both parents and the teacher can write in it when there is something special. Invitations to the parents' evening or the next dental visit can be noted there, for example. I think it is a good system.
Mitgegeben werden, wo das Kind eben, wo man reinschreiben kann, wenn es zum Zahnarzt muss. Also ich finde das selber eigentlich eine gute Form. Und es ist klar, dass so ein Kontakt hat.
But it is clear that a contact book does not replace a conversation, particularly when there is conflict or uncertainty. Then it is essential to have a discussion and that both sides are willing to talk.
Gesprächsbereitschaft von beiden Seiten. Aber wichtig ist wirklich, dass man...
It is really important that you make a date and time first and don't just turn up at school and expect the teacher to be free to speak to you at that exact moment. An important appointment during the year is the individual parent-teacher meeting. The teacher will invite parents at least once a year. At the meeting, the parents and the teacher talk about the child's development as they see it. A discussion of this nature usually lasts about half an hour.
Und wir würden gerne heute das Gespräch so machen, dass wir die Selbstbeurteilung so als Grundlage nehmen und die Pünktchen würden durchgehen, schauen, wie das der Miro sich...
At the parent-teacher meeting, as the name implies, it is not only the teacher who talks. The parent's point of view is important to her. If the child has any problems, solutions can be sought after together. As a professional, the teacher is able to give advice as to how the problem can be solved. She has many options. But as parents, you know your child better. That's why it is important that you also give your opinion. If you have questions about the school or teaching methods of the teacher, now is the right moment to ask. Together as a team, you can decide what should be done at school and what should be done at home, in order to make it as easy as possible for your child to learn and develop.
Joanna, Bruno.
It is vital for the school that the children are healthy.
Ihr dürft zu den...
Exercise for children at this age is important so that they also stay healthy. That is why there is so much sport at school. The teacher is trained for this as well. In the gymnastics class, she makes sure the children learn to move in many different ways. This type of training is extremely important at this age. The city provides numerous gymnasiums where sport can take place even in bad weather. This way, the city plays a large part in the promotion of health and prophylaxis. Together with sport possibilities outside school and healthy eating in the day schools, the city of Bern makes an important contribution to the health of the nation. In addition, there are regular checks. For instance, checkups by the school dentist. These controls are obligatory, therefore they are free. Thanks to compulsory teeth, eyes, ears and body checks, every child has the best chance to grow up healthy. Sometimes, despite all these measures, a child still becomes ill. A flu or children's diseases need not be serious, but the child must not come to school. Sick children must stay at home. They cannot be properly looked after at school and can infect other children. Then you must telephone the teacher and inform her that today your child cannot come to school. Compulsory schooling also means that you as parents are responsible for your child attending school every day, on time, rested, and not hungry. Be pleased that your child will soon be going to school. It is a huge step, but it doesn't necessarily mean a step away from you. Don't treat school as an annoying nuisance, but as an exciting period in your child's life. Become involved with the school. Seek contact with the teacher and take a real interest in what your child is learning at the moment. Even when the question of achievement is not the main issue.
Da wäre ein schönes Wort von Martin Buber, wo hat
A word on this from Martin Buber. He doesn't ask his children, "What did you learn today at school?" But, "What did you ask today at school?"
Das finde ich ganz gut.